Hi again. Today I'm looking at some more metallic water-soluble watercolour colours, paints from different manufacturers. You've probably seen my previous one where I tried out the Derwent set of metallic paints, these ones, which is very interesting to have a look at which ones I liked and which ones I didn't like. Today I've got some different ones to try out. So my first ones, I'm going to try them out on white paper or creamy coloured paper and black paper as well, because sometimes they show up much better on black paper. I hope you can pick up the sort of reflective, shimmery qualities of these paints on the camera. Well, the first one I've got is by the SAA, and it's just called Gold. Comes in a tube, 14mm tube. So let's have a look at this one. I'm going to squeeze out a little bit into my palette. Interesting, because sometimes these separate, as you can see. That's probably some of the mixer or binder in the top coming out there. Let's make sure we can get enough of the actual metallic paint into there. It's quite runny, so it doesn't look like it needs diluting very much, to be honest. Let's have a look. I'm not even sure now if the pigment hasn't settled in the tube a bit. Let's have a look. It looks to me like it has, which is interesting, isn't it? So what we've got coming out the top of the tube at the moment is probably more of the mixer and not the gold itself. So I'm going to go back into there and have another look. Let's see what's going on. Okay, right, so definitely the tube has settled a little bit, which is a shame because obviously it's quite hard to mix up in these tubes. You can probably see now that this is more of the metallic, this actual pigment, this is the binder. So I'm going to take out more of the gold this time, the actual pigment, and see what happens. It's quite sticky, it's interesting, it's almost like painting with treacle here. I've got a feeling that we're not going to see it properly until it's dried. And let's try it on the black paper. See the difference between what was coming out of the tube when I first opened it and what we've got now? Very sticky. Nice to work with though, you know, it feels kind of smooth and silky to paint onto there. I think that's going to take a little while to dry. While that's happening, the next one I've got is the SAA Silver. So it'd be interesting to see if the tube does the same thing, if the binder comes out at the top. Looks different, looks like pigment at the top. Nope, definitely more binder. You can probably see there where the pigment has now come out, and this is the binder. So they need mixing up together, obviously. Give that a nice mix. It does look very metallic. Let's put some of this onto the white paper. Obviously it's looking quite grey at the moment, but we'll see what happens when that dries. Looking nice on the black paper. I do wonder if these will look a bit streaky when they dry, or if that will sort itself out, because they're so viscous. It's quite, I don't know if you can see, it's quite hard to get rid of those brush marks, but maybe they'll disappear when it dries. Let's wait and see. Okay, so the next one I've got here is the Holbein Gold. Little tube. Let's see how this one behaves. Wow, straight away, pigment. Lovely and thick. Quite different. Okay, let's have a look at this one. I think this one is going to need a little bit of water to get it going. Looks lovely. It's a pale gold, paler than this one, paler than the SAA one. Not as sticky. Not as sticky and silky as the other ones. And on here, well, that looks nice. Looking good. I think if you wanted really good coverage, you'd probably have to do a few layers of some of these paints. Particularly on black, you can probably see the black paper coming through there, but we'll see how it settles. That one away. Okay, now I've got the Daniel Smith Iridescent Gold. It's coming out of the tube already, you can see that. Sometimes they do that, some pressure builds up in the tube, I guess. Again, can't see any binder coming out first, just looks like the paint, and it looks like it will need a little bit of water adding. Probably need to do more experiments to see how much water you can get away with adding, or whether you need to use it straight from the tube. That's quite nice to paint with. Goes on quite nicely, quite smoothly. Let's have a look on the black paper. Again, it's not completely covering the black in one coat and one layer. See how it dries. And I've also got the Daniel Smith Iridescent Antique Silver. Big tube. Wow, looks like those kind of metallic car paint, you know. Some paints have been developed, I gather, from the car industry. So these metallic ones, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that, I think. A little bit of water again. Antique silver. More of a bluey grey than this one. This one's a duller grey, I'd say. This one's slightly bluer grey. Quite pretty. Oh, it's very nice on the black. Feels very nice to paint with. At the end, I'll hold these up and you'll be able to see if you can see them shimmering or not, or how reflective they are. Right, so the other two I've got are these crema pans. This is called Iriodin, if that's how you pronounce it, bright gold pearl, underneath pale gold, and it comes in a little pan like this. Looks like a little gold bar. Very pretty. Just makes you want to use it. So I've dumped my brush. Seems quite easy to lift from the block. Very easy actually. That's quite pretty. Again, I think you might have to put a few layers on actually. Or maybe less water. See if I can get a really thick bit from the corner. It's about as thick as I can get it at the moment. Interesting. And then there's the, again by Kramer, Pearl Luster Satin Silver. Again in a little block. A pan. and lift some of this. Oh, that's nice. I don't know how well that's being picked up by the camera, but it's quite sort of mother of pearl. Very different to the other two silvers. And on the black, very pretty. You can see it's shimmering. Interesting. Okay. Well, the first one, the SAA Gold, is still wet. That binder that came out at first, that's still very wet. You can probably see. Very sticky. Really sticky. Can you see my fingers actually sticking to it? It must be gum arabic or something similar. It's also still wet, so it's going to take a long time to dry, this one. Very tacky. It's hard to tell how shimmery it is because it's still wet, so looking shimmery, but I think that's just the partly the dampness and the stickiness. Here they are on the black paper. Again, just the binder that came out first. The gold and the silver. Silver's drying on here. Silver doesn't look bad. I'm not so sure about the gold. If I lift this one, you can probably see just how shimmery these paints are, or aren't, as the case may be. I'm not finding the Holbein that shimmery. The Daniel Smith's not bad, gold and the silver, and they've dried fairly evenly, not too many brush strokes. The cremas I think are gorgeous. I love this. I love the pale gold and I love the satin silver. Very shimmery and very pretty. Just about dry, nearly. And having a look at those on the black, they really do show up. If you can see that, but the cremas are definitely the most metallic. Gorgeous, actually, really nice. The Daniel Smith Antique Silver I'm quite liking, but I think, you know, if you wanted to give good coverage, you'd definitely have to give do more layers than you do with these, with the cremas. Not so impressed, I'm afraid, with the SAA ones, but you know, they're still not quite dry. Plus the fact that we had that separation in the tube, which is a bit of a pain, having to try and mix it all up. You can probably see now if I go back to the paint, that the SAA ones have kind of separated out again. Quite sticky, almost like honey the way that's running around. So I'm guessing that might just be, you know, they're probably a less expensive brand. Don't quote me on that either, because I need to actually check the price, but I imagine that they're a less expensive brand, probably have more binder, a mixer, gum arabic or whatever else is in there, than some of the more expensive paints. Anyway, in summary for this, I would say my go-tos would be the crema, the pale gold and the satin silver. Very impressed with those, and I'm going to be thinking about what projects I could use them for. I think you can also mix them into paint, so, you know, watercolour paints, so you could add some silver into another colour or some gold into another colour, which would be some great experiments to do. Anyway, I hope that's given you some information, and whatever you're looking for, if you're looking for metallic, shimmery, iridescent paints, I hope it's helped, and I hope that you enjoy the ones that you decide to go and buy. Thank you for watching. See you again next time. Bye.